parent show up for that first interview. Thereafter, during the time or how many hours they had to perform, the parent did not need to be there, even though some would. I would ask two questions. The first is, how did you get in trouble? And we discuss it. And as part of that discussion, in some instances, I would say, well, a lot of them around 15, 16 years old. I said, why don't you, if this the lifestyle you want to lead, why don't you leave your mom alone? Go out there on the street and do it full time. I said, no. I said, well, here's the second question. What is it that you want to do with your life? Quite often, when they had a decent answer, the parent would be surprised. And in many instances, they wanted to play sports. A lot of the fellas, that was the only thing they had on their mind, and I could relate to that. And I would explain to them, what's plan B? In case you don't make it to the NBA or the NFL, what's plan B? They didn't have a plan B. I said, well, your legs are strong. They got strong muscles. But after you run so long, they get tired. And your arms are strong. You can do a lot of lifting, but after a while, you get tired of lifting. But the brain muscle, it continues to work. It doesn't get tired like that. Use your mind. Do a little research and find out that thing that you're passionate about, that thing that you love, that thing that you would do if nobody paid you to do it. And make that your life's work. And I still resound that to young people. But one of the things that I've truly found I wish I could do is to ask youngsters to hold up their left hand and put it to their left ear while I talk in the right ear. You know, many times you have to ask them, what is it that they want to do? And then, out of a group of maybe 7 to 10, you'll find 1 or 2 that'll come forward. And those are typically those that have leadership qualities. They'll come forward and make a statement, however bizarre it might be. And you take that person and try to shape that thing that you want them to do around what they want to do. Let them own it and allow them to make mistakes. I was asked about one of our children. Our youngest son had become my protege by accident. He and his brother were wrestling. They knocked a hole in the wall, in the hallway. I come home and look at all these frowning faces. What's going on? They say, well, Michael and Joshua wrestling, knocked a hole in the wall. I looked at them, I said, well, hey, look at here. Your allowance going to buy the material, and you're going to become a good sander. Because a good plaster will become a good sander, and a good sander will become a good plaster if you don't bevel your edges or feather the edges. So they did have to sand it down because they didn't feather the edges. And the oldest one, he didn't care for construction. So I told him, at least you found out what you don't like. But the younger one, he kept on it. After a while, I had a training program, and a developer who had bought a property close by asked me if I had any trainees. I said, well, the only one I got right now is my son. He said, well, can I use it for a couple weeks? It's okay. It's okay with him. After a couple weeks, he come back and asked me to put him on payroll. And that was in 2011. He's been with him ever since as a supervisor now. And after maybe sometime during the first year, they called me to some place they were working on, and the guy who was over him asked me, how did I teach him? And I simply told him I let him make mistakes. He looked at me like I had 5 hours on my forehead. Because when he made mistakes, I would question him about what was the problem and let him find the answers. I said, well, fix it. Because when you give a child that latitude, they can discover things that they didn't realize they had. And once you cause them to put their focus on the issue, they become the owners of that thing. It gives them that freedom to express themselves in a way that they could otherwise not be molded. You see, a lot of the research that we do is based on our own desires and things that we may have an interest in becoming more proficient at. Well, children are all over the place. young people are this way today and that way tomorrow. Maybe some of us adults are too, but you know, they're at that stage where their mind is just starting to become capable of formulating serious opinions, and they're nearing adulthood, which means that there's a catalyst that they're going to grab hold to that's going to propel them for the rest of their lives. Some in good directions, some in not so good directions. But this is where the rubber meets the road. It's, in my opinion, the obligation of us whom are adults to lend a hand, because guess what we were before we were adults? We were just like them. Sometimes that's what bugs us. They remind us too much of ourselves. Hard-headed, obstinate, indifferent, and know everything. Yeah? So I like to involve them in the learning process at their own speed. Right now, well, is it 11 o'clock yet?
11:15.
Right now, I've got a someone going on 16-year-old who's the general grounds assistant. And he's taking the lead. Right now, he's feeding the fish in our catfish farm, feeding the fish in our aquaponics facility, taking the guys over to Tunnel 3 to clip okra. They're taking them over to Tunnel 4 to clip cucumbers, bringing them back to Tunnel 1 to pick tomatoes and string up some, because we didn't clip off suckers this year, so they have to constantly string stuff up. And I tell you what, this is something that I discovered. When you give a young person a challenge on their own level, this is where it gets funny. Because, what happened to you when they don't meet the challenge? What happened to you? You a tough man. It's hot in there. Yeah, well, that's why it pays to be nice. Because they say hell is hot. But those are the chores that they'll perform before they take their 1 o'clock break. And we provide them with a stipend of income. And we know the beauty of providing, there's several things that come with providing a young person a stipend income. One of the things I discovered from working with those who come through juvenile court is that their primary criminal offense was theft. And the reason behind the theft was a lot of their families couldn't afford to buy them the things that their peers had, so they would try to get 5-finger discounts to get it. Peer pressure brought them to the place of committing a crime. And this is one of the things that in the inner city environment that we need to contend with. You see, it's one thing to be spoiled and grow up with all of the creature comforts. It's another thing to not have a video game. And you hear about people in school talking about the video games, and you can't really participate in conversation because your folks can't afford to buy the system, and you don't have the games. And everybody's talking about how fun this new game is, and how this, that, and you can't participate. It kind of shrinks your size, and your overall disposition and attitude starts to change. It may even affect your grades, because now you're a social pariah. You don't fit in. And while it's a problem, the first aspect of solving the problem is recognizing what the problem is. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. And finding that place in the inner city is not always easy. One of the things that we have at our facility is a food pantry. Matter of fact, the first thing that we started at our facility was a food pantry. And we went around town. I'd never heard of food pantry. And we went around town and found out that a lot of pantries open once a week, once a month. And they give out boxes, box A, box B, box C, according to family size. Well, I found that was not only uneconomical, but it was very impersonal. And we decided on this program called Client Choice, or it's a process, where you give them a grocery store experience without the cash register. They come in as long as they are a client, they show their ID, sign in, get a basket, pick the things they like, bag it up, and then come back next week if they like. Gives them about 3 days of emergency food. If they're not a client, they come in with the necessary paperwork, which is purely a current valid photo ID, and if they receive any form of government assistance, they bring their case, the award letter, which got the case number on it, short form to fill out once a year, and then they can come in, even that same day, and obtain food. But why we did that, I didn't, we just did it because we had a training program for construction, and some of the guys would come and they had their heads down, and I'd ask them what's wrong. They said, they're hungry. Tell me, what wouldn't you do if you were looking in the eyes of your hungry food? What wouldn't you do? This is the urban environment. Talk about urban agriculture. There's a stigma that's associated with agriculture called slavery. I found a way of getting around that. I told a group that were just outright telling me, I don't want to be no slave working out here in the sun. And I looked at them and I said, well, you got a point. Because somewhere years ago, there were a group of people called the Israelites, and they were slaves. Y'all know that? You know about that? They said, yeah. I said, the people who had them in slavery were what? They said Egyptians. And I said, Egypt is where? In Africa. Africans had slaves first. Get over yourself. A lot of them understood and comprehended. I've used that numerous times. So that you don't, there are many impediments along the path to adulthood. And when you find children with those, you want to try to show them how to erase it so that they're not bound and captured and stifled in doing the things that they need to do to grow. And growing food is just one of those things that happens to coincide with them growing up. And what we like to do is to allow the children to plant seeds, cultivate around them, and harvest them, and taste them. And I lead the way. I'll eat it right there. And I tell them, hey, you eat some too, but if you eat too much, I'm gonna charge you. Because that's how we make our livelihood. We sell this stuff. And along the way, I explain it to them every step of the way. This is our money. The stipend that you get, if somebody interrupts that flow of money, you wouldn't be happy. And that's another thing that I use, and I'm glad we have a stipend because this is something they understand. You can take a megaphone and get it right to their ear and say some things and they wouldn't understand. But when you mention dollar dissection, you could whisper it. They have a break at 1, and when 1:30 comes, you start asking them a question. You still on break? You off the clock? They get on up. Because they understand if you're off the clock, you're not making no money. Yeah. And I got another one. I call it the ABC challenge. This one came about because I heard some cuss words. And I come around the car and say, wait a minute. This is my spot. Until you hear me cussing, ain't no cussing in my spot. But each one of you, every time I catch you cussing, it's going to cost you $1. Cuss on. I don't hear nobody cussing. Most don't want to keep that money. But the ABC challenge was a psychological ploy. I told him, I said, look, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, right? I said, now what I'd like to do is you get a dictionary and go from A to Z. You pick one word out of the A's and B's and C's and all the way to Z. When you get the definition of that word, you'll be able to put that word in a sentence and talk about it in a natural way. And I'll give you $26. So far, one has took the challenge. Got it. I'm looking for support because we got 2 youth groups now. We started off with one, and a couple years ago, a major corporation said, look, we like that. We want that at our facility because we're doing well and want to give back to the community where we're located. And they wrote a check. And we started a second youth program. And I'm looking for help with them because they're higher numbers than the ones we got. I want to get in the challenge, but I want to be able to accept the challenge should they, in mass, come in. I got a 30-year teacher, educator, who I put them in front of when they say that they got the 26 words, and once she says they've done it, then I pay up. So I want to be able to keep my word when it comes down to it. And I think that's another point that I stress with young people. Say, look, one of your buddies tell you that he got something for you, he don't produce, you're not happy with him, are you? Say, well, what's our start time? If there's something that's going to keep you from being here at that time, you need to let somebody know. It's called communication. And what you're doing right now, when you say you're going to be here, you give me your word. And I tell them one of the most important things you got is your word. That's your signature, your verbal signature. Just like when you write your name on that check to get it signed, it's got value. Your word has value. Give it slowly, guard it sincerely, and keep it every chance you get it. And I want to emphasize that to them because as they go along in life, it's a responsibility. You know, people throw that stuff on them. You know, when we were kids, we don't want to hear that. You got to do this. You got to do that. I don't want to do these things. You're imposing on me. But when it's not an imposition, when you think of it as something that makes you a better person, it becomes a part of your character. And we'd rather have someone who opens the door for a lady than snatches her purse. So these are some of the traits that we try to emphasize to our young people so that they can get a handle on those foundational things that will help them throughout their lives. And having a good foundation is basic to character development and ultimately growth as an adult. So that ABC challenge is something that allows them to develop the ability to express themselves with words rather than to clam up or resort to foul language. And it's one of the things I explained to them when I heard the foul language, that this is something that's an end result of having a lack of words. And as you develop your ability to comprehend, you can express yourself better. And your repertoire becomes nicer. And with the fellas, I told them, when a young lady can hear you express yourself with nice words, she goes, ooh, you may not hear the ooh, but she goes, ooh. And they were able to understand that. That hit them in a good spot. But children enjoy challenge. They enjoy being pushed in the direction that they want to go in. It's just a matter of taking the time to find out where they are. Because they all want the same thing. They want to be acknowledged. And give them that. Man, you guys, come here. What happened? Look at this okra. You know, first they think something's wrong. Look what you did. You put the seeds in the ground. Look at this pretty stuff we got to sell. You guys made that happen. I'm proud of you. Now get back to work. But acknowledge them. Let them recognize that they deserve it because they worked for it. They earned it. It was because they were willing to be taught. They were obedient and job description. You see, it was said back during the 19th century by an abolitionist whose name was Frederick Douglass. He said, it's easier to build strong children than it is to rebuild broken men. Don't wait till they get to be adults. You have to put them in the penal system. That's a burden on society, a drain on humanity, a loss. Because typically, they say that the biggest portion of our population that's incarcerated are men. And it's typically designed for men to be the head of the household. Well, if I'm in war, who do I want to get first? The leader. If I can knock out the leader, I got a better chance of winning. Football used to be a game that was a gladiator sport. I'm not saying that they need to put on pink tutus now, but it's close. But when it was a gladiator sport in its essence, they would have a bounty on who? It wasn't on the guard. It wasn't on the tight end over there. The person who had the ball to make things happen was the quarterback, and they had a bounty on his head. Knock him out any way you can. You get this money. Because he's the leader. And we want to disrupt that process to help our society become a more well-rounded society, not one that's plagued with gun violence because people don't have that basic character foundation, because they don't have someone of their sort that they can emulate. I'm not saying that women can't raise boys, but have you ever seen a woman chest bump? Why do we do it? I don't know. I've done it all my life, and I still don't have an answer for why we do it. It's fun. That's all I can tell you. It's fun. But it's a guy thing. You know? I mean, you ladies may have tried it, but, you know, I don't need tissue. I can get rid of that water right there. But young men, without this, have a void that they may not recognize. It turns into anger. And just like those Hawaii volcanoes, just like when you shake that bottle up and then open the top, that pressure's going somewhere. But when we take it upon ourselves, remember, we were once just like that. We know. It's not that person around the corner. It's our contact. It's not email or text. It's our contact. It's say, wait a minute. Can I give you a hug? What you want to give me a hug for? Because I want you to recognize that a man can be gentle and still be a man. And I don't have to beat my chest to prove my manhood. That I can be gentle with you and still be a man. You see, it's very difficult to emulate something you've never seen. A lot of the tasks I have the youngsters do, I'll start out. This is how I do this, y'all. Okay? And I want you to take it to the end of this rope. Now, I want you to try it. Okay, see, you did just like I did. Now, stop. I want you guys to know something. The way that I just showed you is the way that I learned how to do it. While you guys doing this, if you come up with another way of doing it, let me know. Put it on the table so we can figure it out. We might be able to use it. I did not inhibit their growth. I want them to be able to express themselves freely. Because who's cornered the market on good ideas? Anybody? Exactly. You don't know where the next great idea is coming from. So why ain't hit it? That's one of the essence of building these young people. Alignment to be free. Y'all got any questions?
I do. How many youth have gone through your program?
Over 300.
How many repeated offenders do you know?
They told me last year that I had to go back into the system.
And how long do they stay in the program?
It varies. Some would be 30 days. I've had some for as little as 5 days. Typically 30 days when they have committed offenses. It's typically 30 days, but during that 30 days, they don't get paid. They're working around others who didn't pay. And they want that. And I explained to them, we got a waiting list. And if you prove yourself, you can put yourself on the top. I can't put you on the top. You only want to put you on the top.
You run the program by yourself, or you get everybody out of help?
I run it. And I kind of like to say that I don't run it. I let the environment run it. You know, their needs. I've had executive director of a foundation tell me, say, why don't you stop that program? And I couldn't find words. You know, as verbal as I might be, I couldn't find words. I just shook my head. Because I read early on in coming to various workshops and things that Joanne Waterman, our extension agent, would recommend, that the farmer's aging out. The farmer's not getting any younger. So who's going to replace the farmer? I remember the 70s when interest rates started spiraling and people couldn't get funds and the conglomerates started buying out the farms, the local farms. And now what we got is stuff that we don't know whether it's good to eat or not. Because the major conglomerations are primarily interested in the bottom line. Not what you grow, it's what you make. That's their concern. So, I let the environment basically take the lead. You know, and I would say that to anybody. If you got a space the size of this table, let it take the lead as far as what you need. If you're going 3 crops a year, 4 crops a year, 1 crop a year, let that take the lead. Don't you take the lead. Because along the way, there's going to be some things that change. There's going to be some variables that you may have to contend with and alter what you originally may have thought of. If you remain static, it hinders growth. As long as you keep yourself open-minded, there's a process that's going to evolve that you can call success. Yes, sir.
I was really inspired by, the video and, what you just said. Because, what you're doing is, what I would like to do one day. And, so how can I connect with you? Because I want to see this in action. Like, I want to come to the farm. I want to see this. Like, how can we make that happen?
11 to 3, Monday through Saturday. Typically, Tuesdays and Fridays are the best days.
You have a card?
Now I got a question for you.
Absolutely.
Did anybody help you out coming up?
Coming up? Yeah. I didn't listen. Yeah, I didn't listen. I chose the hard road.
You know what? You make a good instructor. And one of the things I tell the children, I tell them very simple, and I give it to them in a way that they can understand nowadays. I said, listen, your parents and folks like myself, we've been around the corner, and we know where the crap is. And if you pay attention, you ain't got to step in and get on your shoes. They understand that, because they all love their shoes.
No, I will talk to you later. Thank you so much. I want to ask a lot of questions.
I might not have a lot of answers, but come on.
Thank you, sir.
another thing. This can be a good prop. If you start working with children, you tell them, when I was your age, the only thing somebody carrying a cane could beat me doing was carrying a cane. Y'all let me beat you out here, shame on me.
Thank you, sir.